I always say that when an episode of a show doesn't show its opening, that's when you know something is like gonna go down. But this episode was definitely, like far from that. It wasn't as serious as the previous episodes had been, but this right here, this episode, it was so freaking hilarious, so heartwarming, so to say. It was very different for a JoJo episode, but at the same time, that right there is what really made me enjoy it, a whole lot more, because I was just dying of laughter throughout the entire episode. And so, to me, this right here is definitely one of my favorite ones so far. And that ending right there, you can tell that, something is definitely gonna go down. But the episode itself, it starts off where we see some kind of chef cooking something, and right away you get this very creepy vibe, because you see him bringing down this knife, and then out of nowhere you see blood flying everywhere. You see guts as well, and then you see some kind of animal in a cage. And so then the following day we have Okuyasu and Josuke. We see them walking, and so now we're doing what Okuyasu does pretty much every day, where he goes to visit his brother's grave. And we see now how we asked Josuke if he wanted to get some food after they were done with that. And so Josuke, he was not too hungry, so he was trying to pass on that. But we see now how Okuyasu come across this sign that was telling him about a new cafe that opened up. And we see now that Josuke, he was kind of confused because it definitely seems kind of weird to open a cafe right where a cemetery is. But Okuyasu was saying how that right there could be the appeal of it, because obviously that right there might draw more people toward it if it's definitely in a weird location. And so pretty much when they got there, it definitely looked, fairly new. The building, you could tell it definitely seemed to be, somewhat remodeled. And when they opened the door and walked inside, it definitely looked very nice. And so we see now that the menu that they had, well, they didn't have a menu, but they had a sign now, for the pricing, where it was 3,500 yen. And so pretty much what the dishes were, they would depend on the customer. And so right now, Josuke found that a little odd, but we see now that when they went in there and the chef came out, to greet them, apparently his name is Tonio Trendy. And so right now, this guy, he was being, real friendly, pulling out their chairs for him, allowing them to sit. And so right now, Okuyasu, he was ready to eat. So he had wanted to see he had wanted to see the menu, but of course, they don't have one. And so right now, he was getting kind of worked up. And we see him now how he had held up his hand for a menu, even though we have the chef telling him how it didn't work like that here. And so pretty much now we have Tonio looking at Okuyasu's hands, and apparently he can tell what was wrong with him, because we learn now how Okuyasu, he had diarrhea last night. And we also learned how he could not get that much sleep as well. He got about 4 hours. And we also learned how he been dealing with very stiff shoulders. And so right now, where he had went to go make, meals so that way it would help him, he got poured them some water. And so we see now that when they drunk that, these two guys, they felt complete bliss from drinking, just water. They were hyping up so much, and I was dying laughing. And we see now that when Okuyasu had finished drinking his, it was so good to him that we see him now starting to cry. And so we see now that even though he was wiping his tears away, it definitely wasn't getting better for him. In fact, it was getting a lot worse, to the point where we see him, gushing tears. And to me, this right here was done so comical, but at the same time, I definitely liked it. And so eventually, when he was like done crying his eyes out, we see his eyes like shrivel up. And to me, that right there was like a little bit creepy. But we have Josuke, like full on guard now because he was like wondering, what was going on. But then we have Tonio, coming out there and telling him, that right there is normal, and that right there will only last for a second or two. And so right now he was telling him how this water, it was like from I believe he said Kilimanjaro, but it like melted like 3,000 years ago, something like that. But pretty much he was like making like he was trying to make this water seem as normal as possible, even though we all know that this right here was because of his stand. But apparently where we have the effects of the water taking place, where they made him cry so much, like the after effects of that, he felt, like Okuyasu felt a lot better. He was saying how he felt like he slept for like 10 hours. So that right there got rid of the puffiness around his eyes. And of course that right there also cured him of his insomnia. And so we see now that the first dish that Tonio had brought up for Okuyasu, it was this dish of like mozzarella cheese and tomato. And so right now we have Tonio kind of bragging about how how Italy or Italian people were the first ones to like cook with tomatoes, because that right there is like where he's from. He's a famous chef who's from Italy and had been traveling all over the world to like perfect his craft. And right now he came to this town to like pretty much catch his like big break, because apparently he can like get really fresh, vegetables and produce here. And like he was saying how the seafood, like the fish and stuff, like those are also, pretty good from here as well. So this right here was like really his ideal location. And obviously, and if every customer could be reacting like Okuyasu is, then this guy's business will definitely be booming, because this guy was like loving every single thing. And to me, his reaction to like every time he would like, try a food and say how good it was, to me, it was priceless. And so at first, where he like tried the cheese, it was not giving him that same kick like the water was, but that's because he was not eating it properly. He was not eating it with the tomato. And when he did that, that's when like the effects of the food, was like kicking in. And so now we see that, this time the effect of it was, he was saying how his neck was like feeling hot. And so he took off his jacket, and we see him now scratching himself, and we see him now like even digging into like his own body. And so now we see that like he could not stop, because he was like scratching up, all this like dead skin. And we see how it like got to the point where it formed like this huge ball of like dead skin. And we have, Josuke, like now freaking out. But of course, this right here was like strengthening his suspicion, because, there is no way this right here should be happening. But we see that the aftermath of that, we have Okuyasu's shoulders, that stiffness was gone. His muscles were like now more relaxed and even more flexible, because we have him bending his arm, behind the back, doing a couple of things. But obviously this food, it was definitely having an amazing effect on him. But Josuke here, he was like definitely suspicious. And also to me, it was hilarious where we have Okuyasu being, so stingy with his food, because at first Josuke here had like wanted to try it, but Okuyasu was like being so greedy and childish, because he was saying how he would not give him some, even if he saw Josuke like dying of hunger. And I was like dying laughing. But we see now how when it came to like the main course, and we see how that right there was like a plate of some kind of a spaghetti, but at the same time it was like spicy. And we learned that Okuyasu, he cannot eat like spicy things, like even things that are like extremely mild. He just can't do it. But at the same time, we saw him time and time again like trying to like lick it, or well, not trying to, he was licking it. and like he will always complain that like it was too hot, but at the same time he could not stop. And at one point, even Josuke was like, why are you still doing that? Like just stop. And so it was then that like that we see him, finally eating it, and even though that it was spicy, because we did have Tonio saying how that spaghetti was made so that people who don't like spicy food, they can like still eat it. And so we see how Okuyasu, he was now eating it, and we see him now like not being able to stop, and so now the effect of that, what was it again? Like right now, I'm trying to recall what that one did, because I know that it wasn't until like the second course where we have the meat that we saw like his intestines come out. But I'm trying to recall what the effect of the spaghetti was. But regardless, that right there did have some effect on him. And no. Like I recall where it made his stomach hurt like really bad. Yeah, there we go. When he ate that spaghetti, his stomach was like hurting, and we see that no, it was before that where we have Josuke. We see him now turn the spaghetti back to the original ingredients, and that's when we see the stand for the first time. It's like these these very small looking tomato things, and we see them now going back into the kitchen, going back to their stand user, obviously. And so that's when Okuyasu's stomach started hurting really badly, and we have Josuke running into the back of the kitchen, looking for Tonio. But at first he couldn't find him. But then we have this dog who was like eating this lamb he had prepared, and then out of nowhere you just see like the intestines of the dog, coming out, and blood was like going everywhere. And that right there made Josuke make this sound, which had alerted Tonio that that he was there. And this guy was pissed, because we see Tonio get like really angry. He was like freaking losing it. And so right now we have him throwing a knife at Josuke, because he was that mad. And so right now Josuke Josuke was also getting mad at him, and you would think a fight was like going to break out. But then we see Okuyasu also came into the kitchen, and we see him now chowing down like on that lamb. And so then when it came to him, we saw we see his guts and intestines, coming out as well. And so right now, like while this was going on, we have Tonio like sneaking up on Josuke, and we see him now holding something. Now at first you think that right there might be a brick, but we see now that when Okuyasu had like went back to normal, and we see now what Tonio was holding was like a bar of soap, because what he was mad at was that Josuke came in here without cleaning his hands, because the biggest crime you could do in the kitchen is like bring germs in. So that's why he was mad. And we see now that the lamb, it cured Okuyasu of his diarrhea stomach. So that's why we saw like his gut and stuff coming out like that, because we see that at first that the Tonio, he was like testing it on the dog, because that dog also had and that dog had an upset stomach as well. So that's why Josuke saw it like that. And so now where we have them all being revealed to be stand users, luckily a fight didn't break out, because Tonio, all he wants to do is like cook with people, and that's all he had wanted to do for Okuyasu, give him good food and make him healthy. So this guy, he's a good guy, and obviously his stand is definitely not meant for like fighting as well. So we see how like they all kind of became friends. We see now that that Okuyasu, he was like eating his dessert, which was flan. And so of course he was saying how like that he's a punk or delinquent, and of course eating this will like be nothing for him. But we see now how how he quickly took back those words, because we see now that like after one small bite of that flan, he was like freaking loving it, and we see now that the effect of that as well was like curing his athlete foot. And so now because Josuke came in there without cleaning his hands, he was like forced to scrub the kitchen clean. And so right now, to me, that was funny because he was the only one who never got to eat, any of that amazing food. And so we see now that when they left, we have Tonio saying, come again. And so obviously this guy might not be, a fighter, but he can definitely be that. But he can definitely be considered an ally, because his stand could like definitely, help them out in his own way. And like at the same time, like during the little, mid-card scene, we do learn that, this place is definitely, it did become a landmark of the city. So that right there is awesome, because that place is like so popular that you definitely have to call in advance to like make a reservation. And so at the end of the episode, we have Jotaro on this beach, and we see, some man, came to like sit with him. And so pretty much he was like from the Speedwagon Foundation. And of course they all know about red hot chili pepper powers already, so that's why he like him in person, instead of like, contacting him by a phone or something, because they know that he could like tap in and kill them, or, just like listen in. But apparently, he was like giving him this message from someone saying that they will be arriving by the port by tomorrow, and that message is from Joseph Joestar. And even though, we don't see him from the front, from the backside, you can tell that, he's definitely not that young anymore. But at the same time, it will definitely be nice to see him once again. And the title for next week's episode is actually called Chili Peppers. So we all know that this guy will probably make his move, in some way or form. So that right there is something we all should definitely be looking forward to. But like I said, this episode, it was a lot different for a JoJo episode. But at the same time, that right there is why I like it so much. To me, this episode, it was damn good. Now, I'm not saying it was amazing, but it was damn good. And I'm pretty sure no one, would disagree with that. But of course, let me know what you guys thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe as always, because that really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.